Hello, hello, hello. I welcome you all to this live session by Great Learning. And today we will look at some of the most common interview questions which are asked whenever you apply for an interview. And also, not just that, we will also look at some of the things which you'd have to keep in mind before the interview as well as after the interview. Now, before we start off, I'd want a quick confirmation from you folks if you can hear me properly and if you can see my screen. And if everything is proper, we will start off with the session. So you guys can just give me a quick confirmation on the chat over here. So there might be a stream delay of around 15 to 30 seconds. So I'll just wait for you folks to give me that confirmation and then we can start off. And in the meanwhile, I see that there's a watching of 15 and we only have 4 likes right now. So if all of you could go ahead and hit the like button, that would be amazing. And if any one of you is new to our YouTube channel and haven't yet subscribed, please also do subscribe to our YouTube channel and also click the bell icon so that you get a notification of whenever we are uploading new videos. Everything is fine, all is okay. Yes, yes, yes. Great. So I get a confirmation from all of you folks. So now what we'll do is before starting off, I believe most of you would have registered on the site named as Great Learning Academy, and that is how you were able to attend this session. So if you do not know the features of this website, again, I'll just brief out the features. So as you see over here, we have all of these courses with respect to data science, ML, AI, cloud computing, big data, and so on. And once you complete these courses, you will get a course completion certificate, which you can go ahead and add onto your resume or onto your LinkedIn profile. And that would be a huge value add to you folks. So on that note, we will start off with today's session. So let me just maximize my screen over here. So how to crack a job interview. Now we'll start by looking at some of the simple pointers which you'd have to keep in mind before the interview. The first is to research about the company, and this is extremely important. And why is it? Because whenever you're applying for any role in a company, the interviewer shall definitely ask you about why would you want to join that particular company. Now, to give you guys a relevant example, so let's say if you have applied for this company called as Mu Sigma, and over there the folks have, they ask you why is it that you'd want to join our company and not other analytical company. So Mu Sigma is an analytical company, and over there you'd be asked why would you want to join Mu Sigma and maybe not ZS Associates or any other analytical company. So that is why you'd have to understand what is the aim of the company, what is the goal of the company, and what are the services that the company offers, and what is the product that the company is actually offering. And when you're appearing for the interview, you're not even sure what is the product of the company or the services which the company offers, then that might give a negative feedback about you, and that will definitely not look good when you're appearing for the interview. So doing a thorough research about the company is extremely important. So also folks, I want this session to be extremely interactive. So whatever doubts you have, whatever suggestions you have, please put them up in the chat section. I will take all of your questions parallelly. I want this to be extremely interactive. So again, I see that there's a watching of 43 and we have only 11 likes. So if all of you could hit the like button, I would appreciate that a lot. So if you can quickly get that to 43 likes, that would be amazing. And also, all of the new folks who haven't yet subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe. That would be awesome. Gangatharan is asking, is online certificate added in the resume? So whenever you get an online certificate, you will have an ID of that online certificate. So you can add that ID onto your resume. So I hope that answers your question. And also, Gangadharan, please do not spam in the chat as it would not be a smooth flow, and others wouldn't be able to, put up their questions. And I request everyone to please maintain the decorum of the chat. So the first question is do a thorough research about the company. Then what you'd have to keep in mind is you'd have to do a thorough research about the role as well. Now again, I'll give you guys a very simple example. So let's say you're applying for the role of a engineer or maybe a software development engineer, and this is in the field of development. but your background has mostly been in the field of testing. Now, what you do is you would want to switch into the role of development, but you do not have the relevant skills to switch into the field of development. So this is where the problem comes when the interviewer asks you why you a good fit for this role, and maybe in your resume you would have filled everything about everything related to development, everything related to full stack development or backend development, but you're not really good at it. So that is where the actual problem comes. So if you'd actually want to shift to a development role from a testing role, what you'd have to do is you'd have to justify your resume. So when I say justify your resume, what I actually mean is you'd have to work on the things which you've actually listed in your resume. So you'd have to work on a lot of open source projects. You'd have to work on these sites such as HackerRank, and if you're in the field of, let's say, data science, you'd have to participate in sites such as Kaggle and so on. So work in a lot of open source projects, and also participate in a lot of online competitions, also participate in a lot of hackathons, and that is what will that is how you'd be able to justify what is written in your resume, and that is essentially important for you. So folks, again, if you have any questions, put them up in the chat. I will take them up. Whatever questions you have, do put them up in the chat. And I see that there's a watching of 51 and we have only 20 likes right now. So if we can quickly get that to 51 likes, that would be amazing. And also to the new folks who haven't yet subscribed to our channel, hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification icon. Now we will look at the next point, which is extremely important. So whenever you're appearing for an interview, it's important that you're dressed properly and also you're there for the interview at least around 15 minutes. So let's say if it's a physical interview where you'd have to be present over there. Right now it's a pandemic, so whatever interviews are going on, they are mostly virtual. But once the pandemic is done, you would have to go to the interview by yourself, isn't it? So over there, how you present yourself is extremely important. You don't really have to dress up in a suit, as you see this man over here. You don't really have to dress up in a suit and a tie, but you can wear proper formals, and you just need to look a bit presentable, and that is more than important because you can't really turn up in t-shirt and shorts and slippers, because again, that wouldn't look good when when you're appearing for the interview. And also you'd have to make sure that you are definitely on time or before time. Normally it's better that you're at least 15 minutes before the interview starts. And if you're actually late for the interview, you would have to give the interviewer a valid excuse. And if your reasoning is fine, then the interviewer might be able to he might be able to understand why you're actually late to the interview. But as far as it goes, make sure that you're never late on for any interview that you're attending. So these were some of the basic pointers which you have to keep in mind before attending the interview. Now let's actually look at some of the common interview questions that you'd have to that you'll be facing when you'll appear for the interview. What I'll do is I'll head to the chat and I'll take up some questions from the chat now. So Abhijit is asking, if it's a video interview, do we need to wear formals or t-shirts would do? Avijit, t-shirts would normally do. Just again, make sure that you are presentable. So when I say you're presentable, just make sure that your background, you're maybe sitting, your wall. You're just sitting in front of a wall and you have a plain background behind you, or maybe a bookshelf. That would be fine as well. And just make sure, maybe let's say your beard is properly trimmed, you have properly groomed yourself, and that needs to be more than enough. It's not necessary that you'd have to wear a formal shirt for a video interview. A t-shirt should be fine as well. Keep putting up your questions. I'm taking them up right now. So I want to take up as many questions as possible. Warren is asking, how difficult is it for a finance professional to learn software development? Warren, that's an interesting question. So, from a different domain, whatever domain it is, if you want to switch to software development, I'd suggest a few things, because when it comes to programming, most of the programming languages are quite similar. It's just that you have to learn the syntax, and once you know the syntax, you can start coding with it. What I'd actually recommend you is maybe start with languages such as Java or Python, because these are already object-oriented programming languages, and in the industry, we normally use OOPS languages. So maybe pick up one of either Java or Python, because these have always been evergreen, and these are the most widely used languages across different industries. Pick these up, and what is more important is actually data structures and algorithms. So it's important how you use a programming language to implement data structures, and how you can actually formulate an algorithm and optimize this algorithm with respect to space and with respect to time. So learn more about DS and Algo, and pick one object-oriented programming language. And also you have a lot of coding sites, as I've told you. You have HackerEarth, you have HackerRank. So all of these sites are available for you. Go to any of these sites and you can start practicing over there. So that should be a good start for you. So I'm just looking at your questions. Rahul is asking how much math level is required in total raw and math and stats. So when it comes to data science and you talk about math and stats, I would say it is extremely important. So this again depends on what is the role you're targeting. So if it's the role of a data analyst, then a medium knowledge or just the basics of stats and math would be enough, because as a data analyst, what you'll actually be doing is exploratory data analysis, and you'll be working with tools such as SQL, R, and Python. And what you'll actually be doing is data manipulation and data visualization, and the amount of math required over there is actually quite less. But on the other hand, if you're actually applying for roles such as data scientist or an ML engineer or maybe an AI expert, over there, maths and stats is extremely important, because all of your ML algorithms are based on statistics and mathematics. So when it comes to statistics, just start off with simple stuff such as measures of central tendency, measures of deviation, and so on. After that, you have complicated things over there. So there you'd have to learn about central limit theorem. After that, going ahead, you have things such as hypothesis testing. You'd have to learn about normal distribution, Poisson distribution, Gaussian distribution, and so on. So all of these things become extremely important when you're applying for the roles of data scientist or an ML engineer. So I hope that answers your question. Right. So I've taken up enough questions from the chat. So I'll head back to today's presentation again. So I've got another 15 minutes. So let's see how much can we cover in the next 15 minutes. So also, again, if you haven't yet liked the video, please go ahead and hit the like button. So I see that there's a watching of 58 and we've got only 43 likes. So if we can quickly get 58 likes, that would be awesome. All right. So one of the most commonly asked interview questions is, "Tell me about yourself." And I personally, enjoy answering this question or enjoy asking this question, because this, so from the interviewer's point of view, what an interviewer wants to know is actually what is it that you have worked on, in your previous organization, or what are the skills that you actually have. So when you're presenting yourself or when you're answering this question, never give the interviewer about your childhood stories or your hobbies. So all of those are not at all relevant to the answer. What the interviewer wants to know are your skills. What is it that you have worked on, and how is it that you can bring value to the company? You know, your so let's say you might be a very good cricket player, but unless and until you have actually played maybe at a state level or district level, I don't think the interviewer would be much interested. So you might play cricket 10 hours a day. You might have played cricket 10 hours a day during your childhood, and you would have been the best gully cricket player in your gully. But then again, if you haven't achieved anything concrete in that hobby, never talk about that hobby, because it doesn't really, tell the interviewer that you have succeeded in that particular hobby. So again, so if you'd actually have to put about your hobby, so let's say if you tell him that you are a very good football player, then you'd have to, if you have actually represented India at maybe a state level or a national level, that is when you'd have to tell the interviewer that, I have played football regularly and I've represented India at state level or national level. So that is how you need to approach this question. And normally, let's say if I'm asked this question, what I would tell the interviewer is, so I have 3 years of experience in the field of data science, and these are the projects that I've worked on. These are the projects that I've implemented in my previous organization, and this is what I was able to achieve in my last organization, and this is what I hope to achieve in this organization which I'm joining. So I'll list down all of the projects which I've worked on. I've list down all of the open source competitions, all of the projects which I've done. And so let's see if there are any hobbies where I have anything concrete. That is what I'll put up over here. So this is how you need to answer this particular question. So next very common question is, where do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years? So this again is asked by a lot of interviewers to actually see if you have a clear head for yourself, a clear path for yourself. So again, if I am asked this particular question, what I'd normally say is, so again, let's say if I'm applying for the role of a data analyst as a fresher, so initially I would have very less experience in that particular field. Maybe I would know just one language, maybe Python or R, or maybe I would know only SQL. But what, so in that context, what I'd answer is in the next 3 to 5 years, I would want to pick up a lot of skills in the field of data science, in the field of analytics, and I would hope that this company would provide me the opportunity to gain those skills. And also, I see myself providing a lot of value in the company in the next 3 to 5 years. So this is extremely important. You tell the interviewer that you're there to learn and also you're there to provide value to the company. Because what an interviewer normally looks for is a candidate who is interested in the work that he does, who is always interested to learn new stuff on the job. Because if you have seen our ad of Office Dinosaur, well, if you do not update your skills, you become an Office Dinosaur, and all you do is try to waste your time during the office hours, which is not at all right. So have a clear path of what you'd want to do, and that is how you shall answer this. Again, I'll head back to the chat and see if there are any more questions over here. Avibrata is asking, how will we introduce ourselves in the interview? So I guess I've just answered this, how to introduce yourself. So whenever you'd have to introduce yourself, talk about what are the things you've done. So let's say if you're a fresher, if you don't have any work experience, you say that I am XYZ, and during my 4 years of engineering, these are the projects that I have worked on. These are the hackathons that I've participated in. These are the events that I have managed. So this is how you will approach it. This is how you'll answer the question. Again, I'm going through your questions. Indranil is asking, is CS degree necessary because I have graduated in physics? So if you're asking if CS degree is necessary for a data science role, then I'd say it helps a lot, because also whenever you look at the data science or most of the machine learning roles, you have people at least with a bachelor's degree, but most of the machine learning engineer roles and most of the AI roles, they are backed by people who actually have a master's degree or some sort of professional degree of a higher level. And that is what great learning also offers. Great Learning offers you this PG diploma in tie-up with, UT Austin, which is one of the best universities in the world. So you have this professional diploma which is offered by Great Lakes as well as University of Austin, Texas. So these are some of the degrees which come in of a lot of value. So normally it's better that you either have bachelor's degree in CS. If you do not have that, do a professional's degree. And if you are from the computer science background, it's better that you do a master's. And it's even better if you actually have a PhD, because all of these add a lot of value in terms of your conceptual background, because in your master's or in your PhD, you'll be learning a lot about the mathematical stuff, the statistical stuff, which again forms the foundation of your data science or your machine learning field. Caesar is asking, for an interview, should we focus on theoretical stuff or just algorithms and coding? So if it's an SD role, so normally this is how the SD roles are structured. You will have maybe around 2 to 3 rounds of interview, and maybe in the first round of interview, you will just have around 5 to 6 simple questions where you'll be given questions, very simple questions, not even related to DS and algo. Simple questions related to coding, some sort of programming language. You can use any programming language that you know. Later in the stages, in the second or third interview, you will be asked about a lot of DS and algo, and these will be whiteboard interviews. So when I say whiteboard coding interviews, you will not be given a computer. You will just be given a piece of paper or a board, and you will be asked to solve that on that board. For example, let's say you'd be asked to solve how to reverse a linked list. So how to reverse a linked list, or to find out if a linked list has a loop or not. So these are some things which are asked, and you are expected to solve that directly on the board itself. You will not be given a computer to verify if there are any errors or not. You'll just be given a board, and you would have to write the logic for it or the pseudocode for it on that board or on that piece of paper. So I hope that answers your question. So now that we've answered this, again, we have another common question where the interviewer normally asks you about what are your strengths and weaknesses. And I believe some of the people in the chat also would want to know this. And this is how your approach should be in answering this question. Now, whenever you talk about your strengths, this again, you'd have to back it up properly. You cannot just say that I am a very good programmer or I'm a very good data scientist. You would have to back it up with relevant projects. You would have to back it up with, let's say, if you have participated if in any hackathons or not. And obviously, you will be tested a lot on whatever you put in your resume. So if you tell the interviewer that you've been one of the best programmers in your previous organization, the interviewer will obviously grill you with respect to whatever has been listed in your resume. So that is about your strengths. Now let's talk about the weaknesses. So when the interviewer asks you what are your weaknesses, this is how you should answer. You can't tell the interviewer any random weakness. So what the interviewer actually wants to know is, if you have a weakness, how have you actually overcome it? To give you an example, let's say if you do not consider yourself to be disciplined, now how have you overcome that? So this is how you shall answer. So let's say you will tell the interviewer that initially I was not really disciplined with respect to my work, but what I've realized is it's better to have a proper structure, a proper timetable for my day-to-day activities at work. So I've started doing this. I've prioritized which of my tasks are important and which of the tasks that I'd have to do at a later stage. And because of me prioritizing my tasks, I was able to work at a much more optimum rate, and I was able to add much more value to the company. So this is how you answer this question. If you have a weakness, you'd have to tell the interviewer about how you have overcome that weakness, or if you faced any hurdle, you'd have to tell the interviewer about how you have crossed that hurdle with respect to your work. Now, again, we have another common question. Why was there a gap in your employment? So, let's say if you actually have a gap in your employment, maybe you've graduated, you worked for maybe a couple of years, and because of some reason, you took a gap for maybe 1 or 2 years, and then you'd want to rejoin. Now, during this particular stage, what the interviewer wants to know is if you have picked up any skills during this gap. So this is essentially important for the interviewer. So let's say if you're again applying for a data scientist role, the interviewer wants to know if you have worked on any data science projects during this 1 or 2 year gap. If you have worked on, if you went to Kaggle, if you have participated on all of those competitions on Kaggle. So what the interviewer wants to exactly know is if you have done anything productive in these 2 years or not. And if you have something productive and if you can back it up, then that is more than enough. And that is what the interviewer wants to know. Now, also let's see if this is because of a family emergency. Maybe someone in your family was not well and you'd have to take care of your family member. So in that case, be extremely honest. Because if you actually try to beat around the bush or if you try to lie to the interviewer, then that again will backfire on you. Normally the interviewers would be able to understand whatever situation you're going through. So be extremely honest, tell the interviewer whatever the situation is honestly, and the interviewer will understand. So I'll just take one last question, so we've got 2 more minutes left. Roman is asking, is competitive programming required for jobs in data science? Not really, because when it comes to data science roles, the skill sets are totally different. So when it comes to the data science roles, you'd have to be good with statistics and mathematics. So these are essential pillars over there. And also when it comes to programming, you'd have to learn about R and Python, and you'd have to work with these deep learning frameworks such as TensorFlow and Keras. So what competitive programming helps you is with the space complexity and time complexity of algorithms. But that not really is what you'd require when you're working in the data science field. In the data science field, you would have to find out insights from the raw data. And there, the skill sets required are completely different. So for that case, focus on statistics, mathematics, all of your machine learning algorithms, and also focus on these deep learning frameworks such as TensorFlow, Keras, and PyTorch. So that would be the answer to your question. So folks, this would be it from my side. Thank you very much for attending the session. I am taking the leave now. And to all of the folks who haven't yet liked this video, please go ahead and like it. And those folks who are new to our channel, please do subscribe and also hit the bell icon. So thank you very much and have a great learning ahead.